Top 10 Never-Before-Seen Photos of Earth 2020 allow us to ask you an inquiry. What number photographs of the Earth have you seen? By photographs of the Earth, we aren't discussing photographs taken from the upper climate or the worldwide space station. We mean photographs taken from space or some other planet, for the vast majority. The appropriate response would be a couple. One of those photographs will presumably be the renowned Blue Marble, which was shot by Apollo 17 space travelers in 1972. Nonetheless, the famous Blue Marble is only one of only a handful few amazing photographs of the Earth out there. We have 10 more here, most of which you've never observed. Photo of the Earth from Saturn on the 19th of July 2019. NASA's Cassini space test shot an amazing photograph of Earth from Saturn. The photograph shows part of Saturn and its rings very close, with the Earth showing up as a little spot somewhere far off. The Moon is close to the Earth, however, is scarcely noticeable. NASA named the photograph, "The Day the Earth Smiled." The Day the Earth Smiled is viewed as outstanding amongst other photographs of Earth. It turned out amazing on the grounds that Saturn hindered the Sun, which would have projected shadows on Cassini's field of view and demolished what would have been an ideal shot. Notwithstanding its prominence, this photograph is only one of the numerous photographs Cassini shot from Saturn. In 2006, Cassini caught a photograph of the Earth with parts of Saturn's rings in the closer view. That photograph is known as the Blue Orb. It's cool excessively, yet not as cool as this one. Cassini likewise snapped another picture of the Earth and Moon on July 19, 2013. The Moon is noticeable this time, yet Saturn's rings are most certainly not. Farthest photo of Earth from space. What's the farthest photograph ever taken Earth? That is the pale blue dot, which was shot by NASA's Voyager 1 space test on the 14th of February 1990. The photograph shows the Earth as a small dab in the upper portion of a beam of daylight that runs from the top to the lower part of the photo. Voyager 1 was 3.7 billion miles from Earth at the time it shot that photograph. That is past the circle of each planet in our close planetary system, including Pluto. To place that into point of view, the photograph showed up Earth on the 1st of May 1990. More than 2 months after it was shot, the pale blue dot is one of 60 photos Voyager 1 shot around a similar time. The test additionally took photographs of Venus, Jupiter, Uranus and Neptune. It didn't snap a picture of Mercury on the grounds that the light discharged by the planet was overpowered by the more splendid light from the Sun. Mars was hindered by daylight and Pluto was excessively little, dim and inaccessible to be captured. Talking about Voyager 1, the space test is presently in a territory called interstellar space. That is where our Sun's gravitational draw is practically non-existent. In one sentence, Voyager 1 is not, at this point in our nearby planetary group. We shouldn't expect any more photographs from it either, since it killed its cameras just in the wake of taking those photographs. Photo of the Earth rising from the Moon on Christmas Eve 1968. The three-man group of Apollo 8 turned into the main people to head out to the Moon. They didn't arrive on the Moon yet, just circled round it prior to getting back to Earth. Be that as it may, their flight would have an enduring impact, especially on the establishing of natural activism. Environmentalism wasn't generally a thing until Apollo 8 crew member, astronaut William Anders shot a shaded photo of the Earth ascending from the Moon. The upper portion of the Earth was brilliant blue while the lower half was completely dark, as though it were non-existent. The dry, sun-baked surface of the Moon is noticeable in the foreground. That photograph was named Earthrise despite the fact that it isn't the principal photograph of the Earth ascending from the Moon. 3. That Honor has a place with a comparable photograph shot 2 years sooner. The picture taker was certifiably not a human, yet the Lunar Orbiter 1, a space test NASA conveyed to consider the Moon. The 1966 Earthrise photograph appears as though Anders' Earthrise, aside from that it was grainy and shot clearly. Little marvel it didn't have a similar impact as Anders' more clear and hued photograph. On 13 November 2008, NASA delivered a high-goal photograph it made from the 1966 Earthrise. The refreshed photograph looks better despite the fact that it actually needs tone. Photo of a crescent-like Earth. We as a whole understand what comets resemble when seen from Earth. Presently, we should turn that situation around a piece. What does the Earth resemble when seen from a comet? We don't generally have a response to that, however, we have a thought. The Earth may seem as though a crescent. The lovely photograph you see up there was shot by the European Space Agency's ESA Rosetta space test in 2009. Is anything but an altered photograph of the Moon or some Earth-like planet. It's the Earth. The whole planet is totally passed out, but something aside for the South Pole, which holds Earth's unmistakable blue color. Rosetta was preparing to endeavor an arrival on Comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko at the time it snapped the picture. Nonetheless, it originally expected to make 3 flybys past Earth to produce enough speed to block the comet. It snapped the picture during its 3rd flyby. First photo of the Earth. The first photograph of the Earth was shot on the 24th of October 1946, and you wouldn't really accept that what we used to shoot that photograph. It wasn't a space test satellite or space explorers in a shuttle. It was a rocket, a Nazi missile. That rocket was the notorious V2, Vengeance Weapon 2. The Nazis built up the rocket during World War II and terminated heaps of it at their essential opponent, the British. Be that as it may, they actually had numerous unused rockets lying around at the time they were defeated. The U.S. military moved those rockets to the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, where a few analysts joined a camera to one of them to catch the main photograph of room. The photograph was shot clearly and shows a piece of the Earth with certain dashes of white mists against the dim space. First photo of the Earth and Moon on the 22nd of December 1966. The NASA Applications Technology Satellite 1, ATS-1, did what no human satellite or space test had ever done. It snapped a picture of the Earth and Moon together. In that photograph, we can see part of the Earth in the frontal area with the full Moon in the background. Many public, including space devotees, have never observed this photograph, and some even credit the Voyager 1 orbiter with taking the primary photograph of the Earth and Moon together. Explorer 1 took the main full photograph of the Earth and Moon and not the first photograph of the Earth and Moon. Photo of planets Earth and Venus from Mars. It's only one out of every odd time we will see a photograph of Earth from Mars, on account of the stubbornness of the Mars Curiosity wanderer, which is as yet kicking 6 years past its arranged 2-year life expectancy. We understand what the Earth resembles from the outside of Mars. In mid-2020, Curiosity pointed its camera at the Martian sky and shot 2 photographs, one of Earth and the other of Venus. Its administrators here on Earth combined both photographs to make a solitary photograph of planets Earth and Venus. That photograph isn't point by point, since the 2 planets show up as obviously brilliant specks against the night sky. Discussing splendor. Would you be able to think about why Earth and Venus were exceptionally splendid despite the fact that the stars are nearly invincible? It on the grounds that Mars' climate was extremely dusty at their time the photograph was shot. The residue particles noticeable all around mirror the light from the sun, making the sky become obviously splendid. The outcome is that just the closest and most brilliant things show up splendid. Photo of the Earth and Moon from Mercury. On the 19th of July 2013, NASA's Messenger space test shot a photograph of the Earth and Moon from Mercury. As should be obvious in the photograph, the Earth and Moon are so brilliant it's practically difficult to reveal to them separated. This has a great deal to do with the mission of the space probe. NASA sent Messenger to Mercury to discover little satellites that might be circling the planet. Considering the little size of the articles it was looking for, the test needs to point its cameras at the objective zone for quite a while prior to accepting a photo. Photographers call this overexposure, and the thought is to permit the cameras catch however much light as could reasonably be expected from an item. That is the lone way the cameras can recognize little subtle items that would have stayed concealed. The Earth and the Moon would have been no bigger than a pixel if the test had shot the photograph just subsequent to pointing its camera. First full photo of the Earth. Taking a full close-up photograph of the Earth from space is trying for two reasons. The first is that the picture taker should be far enough to catch the planet in full, yet close enough to catch every one of its subtleties. The photographic artist likewise needs to choose the ideal time when the sun won't project shadows on the Earth. If we inquired as to whether they knew the main full image of the Earth, they would have referenced the Blue Marble, which was shot by Apollo 17 space explorers venturing out to the Moon in 1972. Any individual who considers the Blue Marble the main full photograph of the Earth isn't right. It is really the second. The first was shot by NASA's ATS-3 Test Climate and Interchanges satellite in November 1967. It's muddled why the 1967 Blue Marble, as it is presently called, isn't as mainstream as the one that came after it. It's presumably in light of the fact that its tones are somewhat more blunt. The last full photo of the Earth, the 1967 and 1972 Blue Marbles we referenced in the past passage, are only two of the many Blue Marbles out there. The most recent Blue Marble was shot in 2015 and it's known as the 2015 Blue Marble. The 2015 Blue Marble should have been shot before, yet was deferred in light of the fact that Republicans and Democrats couldn't locate a center ground. Trouble started in 1998 when Vice President Al Gore uncovered NASA was intending to dispatch a satellite to take a full photograph of the Earth. Conservatives restricted the program and nicknamed the satellite GoreSat, a quip on Al Gore's name. The two players stayed in contradiction until George W. Hedge became president in 2000. Bush's organization requested that NASA eliminate the cameras on the satellite, yet NASA clarified that the satellite and cameras would perform different errands, separated from taking photographs. NASA additionally explained that the decreased weight would influence the dependability of the satellite in space. Nonetheless, the Bush organization demanded and advised NASA to supplant the cameras with sandbags. NASA retired the undertaking rather, since plainly the Bush organization was reluctant to subsidize it. Improvement possibly continued when Barack Obama became president in 2008. The satellite was dispatched a couple of years after the fact and it snapped the picture in 2015. Thank you for watching, and subscribe, like and share our channel.